What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Premium MMA. My name is Hydro, aka Big Splash, and I'm here to break down UFC 287 Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira 2. There are a couple updated fights in here, new updated fights that I'm really looking forward to watch, so let's get straight into it. First up, we got Jaqeline amorim 6-0 versus Sam Hughes 7-5. I like this matchup for Jaqeline for her debut. This is a nice, easy. I want to say easy because Sam Hughes, she is I would say she's a veteran in the strawweight division. She's been fighting in the UFC in that division for a while now, and she did her thing at first, but now it looks like she's slowing down a little bit. She's still kind of young as well, but Jaqeline, she's a little younger. I think she has a little more energy. She just, especially on the ground, her grappling is just amazing. She's able to put females away in the first round. Jaqeline is a finisher. She could finish these females, so. And Sam Hughes usually fights to the distance. Like she just when it goes to the ground, Sam Hughes will just defend everything and just survive on the ground. And as in Jaqeline, even if she's on the bottom, she'll look for submissions at all times. And then her stand up is decent. Jaqeline's stand up is decent. I wouldn't say it's the best, but she is able to strike to set up her takedowns. She's able to strike to set up her takedowns. That makes sense. So yeah, I got Jaqeline in this fight all the way. I think she's going to look for the finish on Sam Hughes, and I think she could finish Sam Hughes. So the pick here is Jaqeline. On to the next one. Next up, we got shayilan nuerdanbieke versus Steve Garcia. Now, don't let Shayilan's record fool you. He is 39-10. You got to look at the 39. That is a lot of wins. That's a lot of just fights, period, just in the winning column. The other 10 fights, that it happens. You have that many fights, especially in mixed martial arts. It's not like boxing where you go 100-0, 50-0, 60-0, So, but Shayilan here is a great fighter. He's good on the stand up. His stand up has gotten better, and his ground game is magnificent. His wrestling is really good. He's able to scramble. And Steve Garcia, on the other hand, as well too. His stand up is great, but the only difference between these guys here in the stand-up is that I think Shayilan will put on more volume on Steve Garcia, and that'll make Steve Garcia back up towards the fence and just curl up. Not really curl up, but just keep his guard up and not really throw. Cause Shayilan, he will hunt you down. He will just keep pressing forward and just throwing them bombs. And he is a knockout artist as well. He knows how to finish fights on the ground and standing up. So this is a great match for Shayilan, and Steve Garcia. He is a beast. He's a boxer. He's a good boxer. But I think Shayilan here will be able to outstrike him. And if, say for instance, Steve Garcia is outstriking Shayilan, I believe Shayilan will be able to take this to the ground whenever he wants. And we'll really see how good Steve Garcia's takedown defense is. I'm surprised it says 100% defense when I believe he's been taken down before. Or he's probably been knocked down and then, it went to the ground. And I could see Shayilan doing that too, getting a knockdown and just out wrestling him, out scrambling him, maybe get a submission. So yeah, we're going with my boy Shayilan. On to the next one. Next up, we got Ignacio Bahamondes versus Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden is stepping up last minute to fight Ignacio, and Trey Ogden was supposed to fight last week or 2 weeks ago, but that fight got canceled as well. And I think I was going for his opponent in that matchup because Trey Ogden's stand up is not good at all. It's you could say it's decent, but to me it's less than even decent because all he throws is that haymaker right hand. It's just that haymaker. That's all he throws. He doesn't even. He'll probably follow it up with a little leg kick after it or a jab. He'll follow up that haymaker with a jab. Like it's weird. His stand up, it confuses me a little bit. It's weird. It's like he just practices wrestling and jujitsu. That's it. So, but yeah, that's what. But Trey Ogden's ground game is magnificent. He's able to get takedowns. He is able to scramble and get dominant positions. He's able to look for submissions. He's always looking for a submission on the ground, whether he's on his back or on top, mount, half guard. So he is busy on the ground. That's the only That's the only thing that got me in this matchup because I am still going for Ignacio because Ignacio is the better striker, and these fights start standing up. So I think that Ignacio will be able to keep his distance from Trey Ogden from shooting for takedowns. And even if Trey Ogden did shoot for a takedown and did get his legs, I think Ignacio here will be able to defend that takedown and keep things on the feet. So my pick here is Ignacio, and I think Ignacio here can get a knockout on Trey Ogden because I'm telling you, Trey Ogden's his stand-up defense is not good. He just throws that right haymaker all the time, and his hands are just down here and yeah, his stand-up is not good. That's why he tends to look to go to the ground. But I think Ignacio here could defend those takedowns from Trey Ogden and outstrike him. Maybe get the TKO. So yeah, the pick here is Ignacio. On to the next one. Next up, we got Cynthia Calvillo versus Loopy Godinez. I'm going with my girl Loopy here. Cynthia Calvillo, she is a great fighter. But just lately, recently, she just quit on the stool in between rounds. She quit. She didn't want to fight no more. That's always a bad sign in UFC fighters, especially later on in their careers. Just, they're declining. So, that's literally Cynthia Calvillo in her past fight. So she was dominating. She looks magnificent. But now I think everything's catching up to her. She's getting a little older now, and on the other hand, Loopy, she looks fresh in every fight she goes into. She pressures these females. That's what I think she's gonna do to Cynthia. She's gonna pressure her, make Cynthia just always back up towards the fence, and Loopy could get her in the clinch and just outpoint her, outstrike her. If Loopy wants to take it to the ground, she can. And that's the thing with Cynthia too. She's also good on the ground as well. She those wizard kicks. She could throw those out whenever she wants. It seems like on girls. But Loopy here, I really hope Loopy could be aware of that and just stay up on the feet and just really outstrike Cynthia. So the pick here is Loopy. Next up, we got Gerald Meerchaert versus Joe Pyfer. I got Joe Pyfer in this matchup. Joe Pyfer is a dog. He always stays in the fight. He's always ready to fight. It looks like he's always ready just to finish somebody. He always wants to go for the finish, and he's just a really exciting fighter. And but Gerald Meerchaert, on the other hand, he is also a good all-around UFC fighter as well. The only thing is, I think Joe Pyfer does have Gerald in the ground game. Gerald stand up, he will stand and bang with you, and he's good at striking. But this grappling game, no, I don't. It's not there. I guess he's able to get takedowns, as you can see on paper, but his takedown defense, he gets taken down all the time. Anyone could take him down, bro. And I think Joe Pyfer here could take him down and do whatever he wants to Gerald and scramble with him, maybe even submit him. Even if it stays standing up, I think Joe Pyfer is just a better striker, better all-around UFC fighter. And I think Joe Pyfer is going to make it up in the ranks. At least top 15. I can see him in top 15 fucking shit up right now. And then let's just see. And now I want to see him in top 10, see the real competition for Joe Pyfer. But the pick here is Joe Pyfer. Gerald is a great fighter. I love that dude. But this is a good matchup for Joe Pyfer to really show what he got. And this is a real test for Joe as well. So yeah. And I'm not underestimating Gerald as well, but Joe Pyfer's the pick here. Next up, we got Karl Williams versus Chase Sherman. This is a last minute fight as well. Karl Williams is stepping up last minute to fight Chase Sherman's in a week's notice, which is pretty dope. I think Karl Williams, he just fought and just got his win, and I think Karl Williams is ready. He's hungry. He's a hungry heavyweight, and he also fights at light heavyweight, so he's able to take out both those divisions. Well, I wouldn't say in the rankings, but at least, Chase Sherman, I think he will be able to do whatever he wants to Chase Sherman in this fight. I had Chris Barnett, but probably Chris Barnett couldn't, him trying to make weight. He's like a 300 and something pounder, so no, yeah, it's hard for him to make weight. But in this matchup with Karl Williams versus Chase Sherman, I got Karl Williams. Karl Williams is the better, just all-around fighter. He's the better striker, and he uses his striking to set up his takedowns, and he will submit you. Look at this. 5.5 takedowns per fight. 100% takedown defense. Like, he is a wrestler. He's a good wrestler. Usually these wrestlers that come in here, they get their striking up too. it's crazy. These wrestlers are really good. So I think Karl will be able to outstrike Chase. I think Karl will be able to get a takedown on Chase whenever he wants to. Karl is just that aggressive. So the pick here is Karl Williams. I'm really high on him in this matchup. Even though I don't bet on heavyweight fights, I'll bet on Karl Williams to beat Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman is slowing down a little bit. So yeah, the pick here is Karl Williams. On to the next one. Next up, we got Michelle Waterson-Gomez versus Luana Pinheiro. I got Luana in this matchup just because Michelle Waterson, her footage, she does look like an 18-10 fighter. Her stand up is decent. It's okay. She's able to survive on the stand up, but she does get outpointed by every opponent. And then when it goes to the ground, she just lays there because she always gets put on her back, and she just lays there and waits for the time to run out. She doesn't even try to hip escape. She doesn't look for submissions, and she just accepts that. She just accepts whatever position she's in, even if it's in a dominant position. Her IQ is not there, so she tends to lose those dominant positions, and she's not doing so good in the UFC. And I think Luana here, this is a good matchup for Luana just to add another win to her record. And I think Luana could do whatever she wants to Michelle. So the pick here is Luana. Next up, we got Michael Chiesa versus Li Jingliang. I love this matchup. This is going to be a very exciting matchup. Michael Chiesa, he is no joke in the stand-up. He is a great southpaw at fighting. And when it goes to the ground, he's aggressive. He doesn't accept positions on the ground. He tries to get back up, or even if he finds a submission, he'll go right for it. He's aggressive. He's a real good UFC fighter, all around good fighter. But I got Li Jingliang in this one because I think Li Jingliang is a better striker than Michael Chiesa. I think Michael Chiesa here is better than Li Jingliang on the ground. But I think if it does go to the ground, Jingliang will be able to survive on the ground, probably get back up a few times, and just keep it striking with Michael Chiesa and outpoint him. I don't think no one's going to finish each other here. I think it's going to go the distance, and I think Li Jingliang could win in the distance. So the pick here is Li Jingliang. And I don't like how they did my boy when he fought Daniel Rodriguez. He wasn't supposed to fight Daniel Rodriguez, but they made him because all what Chimaev did with all that weight cut bull crap and what Dana, like, that was weird what they did. So I feel bad. And Li Jingliang got robbed in that matchup. I personally think Jingliang won that fight against Daniel Rodriguez. So the pick here is Li Jingliang, and I think this will be a good comeback win for him. So yeah, the pick here is Jingliang. On to the next one. Next up, we got Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. I got Kelvin in this fight. Chris Curtis is no joke. He is a good UFC fighter. He is no joke. He has power, and he's busy. He stays busy, always stays in your face, always wants to stand and bang. And he's always trying to find a finish. But Kelvin Gastelum is the same way. And I think Kelvin in this matchup is just that much more aggressive and just that much more, I wouldn't say well-rounded. I think Chris Curtis has a better ground game than Kelvin Gastelum. So if it does go to the ground, I'll be scared for my boy Kelvin. But on the feet, I'm not worried at all for my boy Kelvin. Kelvin, he has a chin. He will eat all those punches, and he will just keep moving forward and throwing that volume, just throwing a bunch of volume at you. So the pick here is Kelvin in the distance, unless, Chris Curtis finds a submission or something. But I don't think that's going to happen, especially with Kelvin, because Kelvin, he is a really good, experienced fighter. And Chris Curtis is his actual height. Like, they only have an inch difference. All of Kelvin's fights, everyone's towered Kelvin. So I'm happy for Kelvin in this matchup because he finally gets to find someone his height and just, actually find his range easier and just put it on Chris. So the pick here is Kelvin. Next up, we got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. This is going to be a very fun matchup. It's going to be a bunch of volume, a bunch of punches being thrown because Rosas Jr., his striking has gotten better. It's gotten up there. Whoever he's been training with, good. Stay with them. And Christian Rodriguez, on the other hand, is a very good striker. He looks like a boxer. I think even if he became a boxer, he will go very far in boxing. But my pick here is Rojas Jr. just because I think he's the better all-around fighter. His grappling and ground game is magnificent. It's like he has his IQ is just superb. It's out of here, you know. So uh, I think, and Rojas Jr. in fights, he's very unpredictable. He will stand and bang with you, and then all of a sudden, even while he's winning in the striking, he all of a sudden he'll just go for a takedown and get you to the ground, and then he'll do whatever he wants to you in the ground. And I think he will take Christian down to the ground and just out grapple Christian, and maybe probably not get a submission because Christian is actually very aware on the ground. His jiu-jitsu is nice, but if it stays on the feet, Christian Rodriguez could outpoint Rojas Jr. But Rojas Jr., if he's able to take Christian to the ground and get that control time and all those submission attempts, then I think Rojas Jr. gets this win in decision. So the pick here is Rojas Jr. Next up, we got Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzini Bobel. I got Kevin Holland in this matchup, but this is a biased pick. This is a huge biased pick because now I can't trust Kevin Holland. You can't put your money on Kevin Holland. He is a great striker. He's good on the ground. He's able to survive on the ground and defend a bunch of submissions and all that and be able to get back to his feet. But just lately, just the way he's been talking in his interviews, he said he's talking about he wanted to retire. And he's barely 30. He's been in the UFC for a while though. Not gonna lie. He's been in the UFC since like 2015, I think. Yeah, so but he said he wants to retire. And usually when people say that, they don't care no more about winning. They're just doing their own thing at home. So we don't know if Kevin Holland is training out of camp how a real fighter is supposed to, you know? So but the pick here is Kevin Holland. This is a biased pick. Santiago's is a good fighter too. Santiago here likes to keep things on the feet, but if Kevin Holland wasn't talking down about himself, talking like this and that, like he don't care no more about the UFC, about fighting and this and that, he wants to retire, I'll put money on Kevin Holland. He is the better striker, but Santiago, he wants that money. He's ready. He wants to be in the UFC. He wants to be here. So I'll be careful with betting on this fight, but the pick here is Kevin Holland. Next up, we got Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. I got Adrian Yanez in this matchup. I think Adrian Yanez is the better striker, even though on paper it says Rob Font is, but I think Adrian is the better striker. Adrian has more power. I think Adrian Yanez will be able to put Rob Font to sleep. And I don't think this fight is gonna touch the ground at all. Because if anyone goes for a takedown, it's going to be Rob Font. And if Rob Font goes for a takedown, Adrian Yanez is going to defend those takedowns and keep it on the feet and just outstrike Rob Font. So the pick here is Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez is a great fighter to watch. He's exciting. He puts on a lot of volume. So and he pressures you. Even if he is getting pressured, he still puts on volume. He's not scared. He adjusts to fighting anywhere. He can fight in the center. He can fight getting backed up towards the fence. He could fight while pressuring you. So Adrian Yanez is a really good fighter. I think he is underrated in the UFC right now. So the picker is Adrian Yanez. Next up, we got Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. I got Gilbert Burns in this matchup. I think Gilbert Burns could do whatever he wants to Jorge. Jorge is a good fighter. He has good hands, but Gilbert Burns been really training, and he has a chin as well. It's not easy to knock out Gilbert Burns. It's very hard to put him away. And in Gilbert Burns, I think in this matchup he has the grappling advantage, wrestling advantage. Even when it comes to jiu-jitsu, he has that advantage. And the only thing I would, if this does go the distance, which I doubt is going to go the distance, I think Gilbert Burns is going to submit Jorge Masvidal. But if it does go the distance, because Jorge is a good striker, he's good out. He's a street fighter, so he's good at outpointing these UFC fighters, And even if he gets hit, he'll throw 2 more back at you. He gets hit once, he throws 3 more back at you. So that's the only thing I'll have Gilbert that I'm worried about with Gilbert. But honestly, Gilbert, he's been training super hard. It seems like he's not letting no one take anything away from him. He wants to be champion. He wants to get that title shot. So, the pick here is Gilbert Burns. Next up, we got Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. I think Alex Pereira here is going to defend his title against Israel Adesanya. If Izzy tries to have a different game plan and not strike with him, if Izzy ends up like, let me wrestle with this dude, let me take him down, I think that's going to be a bad idea for Israel, because Alex Pereira is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. That means he's been doing jiu-jitsu for about 5 years now, 3 to 5 years, um, maybe even longer. Who knows? And he don't even get to show it because he just knocks everyone out. But yeah, I got Alex here, and I think Alex will be able to use his power to also stun and knock Izzy like he always does. And I think this is just one fighter that Israel just can't overcome, truly. And Alex Pereira is just that dude. He's really that good at fighting. He's good on the stand up, and once Israel wants to get those takedowns, Alex will defend them, because Alex defended 2 takedowns in their first fight in the UFC. And when Alex went for his takedown on Izzy, he got his only in one takedown that he went for. So yeah, I think Alex Pereira here is the better all around fighter, especially the better striker. So yeah, the pick here is Alex Pereira. That was my breakdown for UFC 287, Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. This is going to be a real exciting one. The whole card is just stacked. I have a couple of my favorite fighters in there. So yeah, this one's going to have me on the edge of my seat. Thank you for tuning into Premium MMA. My name is Hydro, aka Big Splash. And if y'all enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.